Hi, I'm Larissa, and this is Soviet Childhood. In this depiction of Tsar Nicholas II and his family, they appear far removed from the realities of poverty and the hardships of daily life experienced by many of Russia's peasants. Above all, the revolution was about class and the growing frustration with slow-moving reform. Students living in Moscow in 1917 documented the changes unfolding outside their school's doors through drawings. Most of these pictures feature the word liberty, expressing liberation from the monarchy and hope for the future.
Во-первых, это и отражается и в тематике рисунков, и в их тональности. Много убитых, много крови, во-первых. Это дети, московские дети, все жили в центре, все это видели.
The excitement of liberation was often undercut by violence that children witnessed after the October Revolution, in which Bolsheviks seized power. In this new era of Soviet rule, children's role was transformed. In this 1925 poster, Soviet officials asked children to reject what they call the mysticism and fantasy of children's books from Tsarist Russia in favor of work, battle, technology, and nature. This page from The Little Octoberist Rascal teaches children how to reject the old world, represented by the traditional folk hero in chains, in favor of the marvels of Soviet modernity. The Little Octoberist Rascal encourages children to take advantage of a new Soviet society with trolleys, cars, and radio, and reject the relics from an old world. Yet how did these messages from children's literature translate to everyday life? This 1929 footage of the Moscow Young Pioneers, a communist youth organization, plays on the same themes of work, technology, and nature. Young pioneers from the city boarded trains to the countryside to deepen relations between the next generation of the working class. Interestingly, this footage is shot from the perspective of a child. It was on these trips when young pioneers were introduced to collective farming, an example of a Soviet agricultural policy where people worked together on a communal farm. The new Soviet state strove to be the most modern country in the world by constructing railroads and electrifying the countryside, but a connection to nature was still seen as instrumental to the imagined happy Soviet childhood. But Soviet grain reacquisition policies during the Civil War crippled the country's peasants. In this 1921 footage of the Volga region, which was devastated by famine, a child cannot move due to starvation and is escorted away from the prying eyes of a camera. Although abandoned children had existed pre-revolution, the famine of 1921 drove an unprecedented amount of children onto the streets. This 1920s footage from a child labor camp shows a brief moment of joy for homeless children. Once they had arrived from crowded warehouse trains, they were introduced to the camp with a haircut and a fresh uniform. Children understood the hopes of adults for a better future, and many of them shared this hope. This generation of children who lived during the revolution witnessed the old world being reimposed with symbols of a new regime. They were taught to emulate the Little Octoberists and become participants in this new Soviet society.